So Shannon and I are
Morning, everyone, and welcome to Listing Mania. My name is India Webster, and I'm the team leader for Keller Williams and Team Realty. Welcome to the first day of Listing Mania, which consists of a month of training classes and panel discussions, all tied to the topic of listings. We have 1 hour training classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and panel discussions on Thursdays, with one special class on a Monday. So make sure to pay attention for that. Attendees will have the opportunity to win vendor-sponsored prizes during our Thursday panel discussions and on the last day of Listing Mania, which is October 29th. So, of course, you can tell we're excited. We're excited about sharing this educational event with you, especially during such a challenging time in our environment, because we can all benefit from the shared knowledge with low inventory levels. Yet, how are some of the top agents doing the best within their production ever? All right, so this month-long event is brought to you through the efforts of 5 Keller Williams Market Centers coming together to include the Metuchen, Montgomery, Summit, Westville, and My Market Center in Clifton. Thank you to each of these team leaders, our teammates, and our technology coordinators for planning and facilitating this event. This wouldn't be possible without the support of our OPs of our respective market centers who represent both opportunities for us every day. We appreciate and thank those top agents from our offices, along with the regional and national speakers who will be presenters and panelists in advance for bringing a lineup of amazing classes and panels for shared knowledge within our real estate community. We also want to take a moment to thank our sponsors who are donating prizes as well as contributing to KW Cares, which is a nonprofit designed to help KW agents and their immediate family members who have extreme hardships like those experiencing the wildfires on the west coast of our country. Our vendors include Freedom Mortgage, Frank Valentino Home Inspection Services, Guaranteed Rate, and Turnkey Inspection Services. We have a few amazing treats built in as well, guys. So I'll share just one, and my colleagues will continue to share others. Closing out the trainings for the month, we have Jason Abrams, who is a mega agent and is the Vice President of Agent Experience at Keller Williams International. For many of us, he's also known as the Jerry Maguire of real estate. So we're all excited about that. So thank you to Mega Agent Kristen Cook of my office for coordinating efforts to make that happen with Jason. So now I'm going to pass the mic to Shannon Aronson, team leader representing both the Summit and Westville offices for Keller Williams.
All right, woo! Thanks, India. Thank you so much, my fellow team leaders here. This has been so much fun putting this together. Right now, we know nothing is more important than getting listings as far as our businesses are concerned. So this is just gonna rock out the whole month. Now, one of the things that I'm particularly excited about is to get those competitive juices flowing, right? I know that one of the two of the most popular trainings, events that were on Mega Camp were those the script championships that Jason did. So on Thursday, all of you guys are going to want to tune in from 11 to 12:30. We are going to have a listing script championship. We've got 2 awesome judges in Vanessa Pollock, the #1 agent in Maplewood and South Orange right now, as well as one of our favorite, always brings down the house, KW agents from Manhattan, and that is Seth Levin. We have 3 amazing listing presenters, and we're going to get it a little bit competitive going here. There's going to be prizes. We're going to have you guys all vote to pick a champion. So I will see you for sure Thursday this week at 11 o'clock.
Hi, Shannon. That's okay. Hi, I'm Leslie Cato. I am the team leader at Keller Williams Elite Realtors in Metuchen, New Jersey. I had the pleasure of getting our own Linda McKissick to come in and do a class for us. I'm pretty certain that all of you know Linda McKissick, but just to give you a little bit of background, Linda McKissick was actually featured in the MREA book, in Shift book. She has been the #1 selling agent in North Texas for a couple of decades. She is an investor. She is an author. She is a top profit share earner of about $2 million annually. And she is famous for teaching this class called Getting 10 Listings Every Single Month. So we're bringing her here to do that for us. And basically, she's going to focus on the 3 L's, leads, listings, and leverage, mostly focusing on the listing part. So I think we're in for an awesome time with everyone that we have coming in to help us. I want to pass the mic to Joe. Joe, take it over.
Hey, thanks, Leslie. Thanks, India. Thanks, Shannon. I will tell you this. I've been a team leader at KW Montgomery for almost 8 years now. I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting some of the top people in KW, and quite frankly, between India, Shannon, and Leslie, those are some of the top people there. So kudos to you guys. I will tell you, it's the first time I got a word in edgewise working with 3 women, just so you guys know that. I love them all, though. I love them all. So, so we have a great opportunity here, guys. Really, for the whole month of October, the training is awesome here. You know, it's funny, when I got into KW, it was about, you know, Keller Williams is a real estate company. It just happens to do, you know, training, education, and coaching, blah, blah, blah. Then a couple of years ago, Gary turned around and split it into technology and said, hey, listen, KW is a tech company. Of course, we were laughed at that point as well. You know, laugh all you want, but I'll tell you right now, we have our regional tech director, Stephen Gendel, coming in on this October 16th, talking about using KW Command technology to increase your listings. This is a listing opportunity, guys. So definitely be there for that as well. Because we get into the position of being on listing appointments, you do get objections. I don't know if you've gotten objections before, but I've gotten them, okay? But we're doing a session on the 15th of this month on objection handling. We have a superstar, rock star panelist. We have Kristen Cook coming in. We have John Carlo Cassio coming in, and Pinky and Deepak Bansal, all going to be handling as many as 15 to 20 different objections as a mastermind panel. So that being said, it's going to be a great opportunity, guys. If you've ever been to Bold before, live Bold, you got in an objection handling line and you got thrown an objection, I will tell you right now, you want to shoot to get an objection. So be involved in that session as well. That being said, I guess I'm on, India, correct, for our first session today? Good, awesome. So I'm going to get started here. You know, this is about listings, taking listings. I mean, tell you, we are short with listings, and I'm going to share my screen from time to time, so bear with me. I am pretty tech savvy, but I do make mistakes from time to time, or so I'm told by my wife, okay? So I will tell you guys this, is that this is about really how to get more listings, okay? The first session today is how to be creative to get new listings. So I'm going to share my screen and talk about a few things here too. So in doing that, let me get my screen up. Okay. Okay, again, basically, let me get this part of it too. So basically, in a nutshell, we're looking for creative ways to find new listings. And the thing is for you guys, you know, here's the thing. Are you doing the same old stuff? You know, are you doing FSBO calls? Are you making cold calls? Are you calling expireds? Nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong with this. Are you door knocking? God forbid if anybody's door knocking today, I'd like to see that. You know, are you doing mailing flyers, postcards? What are you doing differently? That's what we're looking for here too. Hey, listen, guys, if public open house is working for you and that's your #1 source for lead generation, it's really working, awesome, that's great, stick with it, okay? Okay, but what are you doing social media wise? What are you doing to leverage your vendors? This is what a lot of real estate agents are doing. What are you doing to leverage your past clients, family, and friends? You know, are you doing geographical farming? What is that you're looking at doing in reference to that, okay? You know, do you have a niche market? What are you doing for events, clubs, organizations? I'll be honest with you guys, these are what everybody learns to do. And interesting enough, about 4 or 5 years ago, Inman News put out an article. It's like a 20-page article about the 100+ things that you could do to take listings. Now, I'll be honest with you, if you're doing all 100, you're making a mistake. You're making a huge mistake. That's too much. If you've never read the One Thing book by Gary Keller, get the book or read the book, okay? Because quite frankly, the difference is you don't need to do all of this. And here's what basically I do is I teach a simple little concept here. And if you're in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and you remember you put your hand on a piece of paper, you drew it all out, kind of appropriate because we're in that season right now. It's sort of your turkey. You only need to do 5 lead generation activities. You don't need to do 100. You don't need to do 500 of them. It's that simple. You need to do 5 lead generation activities. And you got to do them great. Not average, not mediocre. The world's full of mediocre. You need to do them great. And I will tell you this, the most important finger in your hand is your thumb, and that better be your database. That simply better be your database. That's not creative, but I will tell you this, most agents drop the ball on database building. Matter of fact, there was something that I think Josh Team just came out with, an article, I'm not sure which, I think it was through Inman actually, saying that 50% of the agents are missing the boat just by in their database. So you need to focus on your database. That's not creative. We're not going to talk about that. That's not the plan for today. We're going to talk about what you do, items number 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's different. Now listen, for me, I was great at for sale by owners and expireds. That was my thing. I didn't mind picking up the phone. I enjoyed it because I felt the competition was less on it. For me, it was also in reference to having a geographical farm, doing open houses. I had no problems with that stuff. But what are you going to do that's different than the average realtor? And that's what you need to look at now. What are the things different? So we're going to talk about 4 or 5 things that are a little bit more unique, things you've probably heard of, but never really thought of to an extent. And again, we'll go into a little bit more in detail, okay? Little touchy in my little mouse here. So, but the first thing is this: landowners to builders to listing opportunities. Now I know what you're saying, well, what the heck are you talking about, Joe? Landowners to builders to listing opportunities. I don't fully get that whole thing. What is that about? So I'm going to define what that really is. See, for the most part, let's share my screen again here. Okay. For the most part, a buyer loves to see that property. They will love to buy that home with a floor plan and everything else. So that's great. That's great. But see, a builder doesn't want to spend the money to build it on spec. They don't want to buy that piece of land. Nothing wrong with that land. It's a bunch of trees, it's land, everything else. There's a lot of work involved with that. And most buyers today say, you know what, that's not what I'm looking for. But this, if they see this as a to be built, they get excited for that. They can see the yard, the dimensions, the elevation of floor plan, things of that nature. So what happens is most buyers won't gravitate towards buying land. Okay, so what they will do, so let's get back to my screen here. Whoops, let me share this again, Annie. My apologies, Annie. So what they will do is simply look at this. For a piece of land, you find the right builder. Find the right builder, let the builder build on a lot. He's not going to do that. What you need to do is simply say this: I need to find a land that's buildable for what I'm looking for. Now, some of you guys in the area saying, there's no land around me. I'll be honest with you guys, there's a lot of land out there. There's a tremendous amount of land out there. It's a matter of you finding that land, okay? Those land opportunities. Then the next step is find the right builders. If you not develop relationships with builders, you need to start developing relationships with builders. Hey, Joe, where do I find builders? Hey, Google them. New Jersey builders. Find out what they build. They build single lots, subdivisions. They build expensive homes, less expensive homes. What do they build? Get in connection with 8, 10, 12 builders. They should be part of your vendors list and your builders list anyway. It's a great connection to have, okay? Now what happens is you have a piece of land, you have a builder. But the thing is, you want to list the land. But I'll give you an example as I share my screen again. Okay, get into this part of it here. Okay, this is through this is through Garden State MLS. Okay, I pulled up just in Somerset County alone, over 113, 103 pieces of land currently for sale. 103 pieces of land for sale. I also pulled up another 100+ properties that are withdrawn or expired on the market. So what happens is land is out there, but again, the buyer doesn't want to buy the land. So what you simply do is you find a piece of land, you got the builder. Then you go to the landowner and say, listen, I'd like to list your piece of land. Like you're seeing here, 103 different agents listed a piece of land right there, no problem, okay? List the land for sale. But then you match up the builder to that piece of land. And you say to the builder, listen, I got a piece of land on, let's say, 447 Spring Hill Road in Montgomery, okay? It's a single lot. It's basically, in a development of $700,000-800,000 homes. Let the builder do some research. Find the right builder, say to the builder, and the builder comes in, takes a look at the land itself. He goes, well, I could build a home on there. It's going to cost $500,000 to build a home. The builder buys the land, it's $200,000. He could sell this for $800,000 to $900,000, okay? So it's a matchup. So what you're going to do is simply this: list the land for sale. You got one listing there. Now what you simply do is you go to the builder says, I could build a home. Now you get a to be built, okay? And the builder does the research and finds the land. It says, or finds what he could build over there. Now what happens is the builder simply says, I could build over there, and the build part of that is pretty simple. Okay, get out of here. So on this too, what happens is the builder simply says, I can build a house there. Now you list a to be built home. So that's $500,000 or $600,000 or $700,000 home. You list it for sale that way too. And if you look at Garden State MLS, let me see if I can get to my screen again. If you go to Garden State MLS as an example, In the profile sheet, right here, construction date, year built, to be built. It's a 2BB, okay? It's a to be built property. So what you can do is you list the land for sale and you list the house to be built. The builder's got the floor plans, everything else. He's got that great picture. He's got the elevation, everything else. Now you have a land listing and you have a to be built listing. The tendency is that the buyer's going to want to look at that fancy dancy house. They're going to look at that property and say, listen, I want to buy that home. I want to buy that home. Now you got a dilemma. Does the builder buy the land from the landowner, or does the owner of the person buy the land and then have the builder build? More likely the builder's going to build the land because he goes under contract, okay? So in doing this, you have a great opportunity to pick up some additional listings. Not to mention, you have an opportunity to meet with other builders and get a sort of rapport built with them, because no pun intended. But with that in mind, it gets to the point of simply saying, you know, I could start to hobnob with them because they're also finding their own land. Not to mention they might have a small subdivision for you as well. So it's a great opportunity to do something a little bit different, a little bit more unique in reference to finding homes that are new construction homes that really can pan out pretty well in reference to both the listing side and the land side. You can pick up two commissions off of this, okay? 2 commissions that could be huge for you too. And it's a great opportunity also to pick up ancillary business from a standpoint of the standard buyer out there as well. So what do they have to sell? So that's one thing we're talking about. So let me go back to my screen here too. Okay. So one of the other things too, I'm gonna suggest to you this, just a little bit more creative. You know, everybody seems to take listings, okay? But they never really take the listing and market around a listing effectively, okay? I've always come from a position of saying, I'm gonna capitalize on another agent's inability to do their job. And what I found in the past, and I have no statistics for this at all, is that you prospect around someone else's listing. It's pretty simple. And I found this to be true, and I don't have any stats for this, is that once one property in a neighborhood comes on the market, within 30 to 60 days, there's a second and a third property comes on the market. Guaranteed, guaranteed. I don't care what the market is. I don't care what the season is. Guaranteed you're going to find a second or third property. But here's the kicker, guys. See, if John Smith from ABC Realty listed a property and you're prospecting around his listing and someone else wants to sell their home, generally they don't want to go to John Smith because John Smith's representing a guy across the street. They want to go to another real estate agent. You need to be that agent that's going to be picking up that second or third listing in reference to do that. So prospecting around another agent's listing. Now, how do you make the call? So if you're calling around a neighborhood, I would not send out flyers because that's just too passive to me. Call around a neighborhood. Hi, Mr. Johnson. My name is Joe Kozo. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. Hey, we just listed, who's we? The real estate community. We just listed a property on the market at 123 ABC Street, and we're getting a tremendous amount of interest and results out of it. We're going to be looking for a second and third property in the neighborhood. Who do you know that's thinking about selling their property? You need to find that second and third opportunity for this, because quite frankly, worst case scenario is they're not thinking about it today or tomorrow or next week or next month, but you might be thinking about it in a year from now. So you pick up potential business, you put them into KW Command, you set up a smart plan for that, you drip on them on a regular basis. When they're ready, you are there. It does not hurt, but I will tell you, most agents will not do this. Most real estate agents, if they send out a just listed postcard, oh, that's nice. I will tell you, before they get the postcard, the neighborhood already knows about their property. So take this as an opportunity for you to simply go through this process and say, let me get that second and third listing. And let me show you my screen here too. And I pulled up some numbers in reference to Garden State as well. And I picked a neighborhood. Let me go here to my cart. I picked a neighborhood that's in, here we go. I picked a neighborhood and development here in Hillsborough called Row Hill. It's about 200 to 250 homes. As an example, you're looking at 4 properties here. If we start to look at these properties here, as an example, look at the first property in itself. That property was actually listed on 7/24, okay? Listed on 7/24. If I go to, I believe this one here, this property was a 9/17. Let's go to this one here. This next property here was listed on 6/4. So you had a listing on June 4th, and then you had a listing on July 24th, okay? So roughly about 6 weeks later, second listing. I will tell you, by the way, there was a third property in development, didn't even come on the market, sold privately, just an FYI, okay? So looking at the same neighborhood, I said, let's look at this active property. This property here was listed on 9/30, okay? Let's go to the next one. This property was listed on 9/17. So the property listed on September 17th and another one within 2 weeks on the 30th. I'm sorry? I'm not sharing what? Oh, I'm not? Okay. Apparently I'm not sharing the screen. Is that it? I don't know if you, am I not sharing the screen in?
No, we could see the GSMLS just now. You closed it now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
could see it.
But we only saw the 4 listings, not, you weren't going to show.
No problem. Let me go share screen again. To where was that, Annie, here? Am I sharing screen now? Okay, good. That's my tech advisor, Annie. She knows a whole lot more than me, so I apologize for that. So basically what I'm saying to you guys, start thinking about circle prospecting, not around just your own listing. And if you're not doing your own listing, you're missing that opportunity itself. But circle prospect around other agents' listings, especially in neighborhoods that you really want to start tapping into. Because when one property comes on the market, you're going to find a second and a third property too. You need to be there. And like I said earlier, very much so, the agent is not going to be prospecting around that listing. And if they are, it's very casual that way too. So it's a good way for you to pick up some additional inventory for yourself that way too. And because agents come to me all the time, Joe, there's not enough inventory, not enough inventory. And what I see out there, I could pull hot sheets on it every day, and you're getting 30, 40, 50, 60 properties on the market every day. So properties are being listed, so tap into that as well too. So good, let me get out of this too. So, all right, so let me go back to share my screen, Annie. Okay. So you're looking at two different things. If you're going to start prospecting around any other agent's listing, start to do that. You could do look with builders to land opportunities, okay? Now I want you to start thinking about this. We very much talk about expireds and old expireds and new expireds and withdrawals. And often an agent says to me, well, really what's a withdrawn property? In my opinion, a withdrawn property is just an expired in disguise. That's all it is. It's an expired in disguise. So my thought to you guys is that, yes, we could be looking at old expireds, which there isn't as many of them in the past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months as there have been in the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So I want you to start understanding this. Properties that did not sell, that simply did not sell back 3 years, 5 years, 10 years ago. They didn't sell for one reason, guys, just one reason. And it kills me when someone says to me, well, a property didn't sell because, oh, you know, it didn't show well. No, a property didn't sell, it was in a busy street, or a property didn't sell because guess what, they didn't cut the grass, or it was a different market. And I don't care what you say on this, a property doesn't sell for one reason and one reason only, and that's price. And sometimes I butt head with other agents and they'll tell me, no, Joe, it's this, it's that, and everything else. I'll be honest with you, it comes down to price. So think about this. Let's start to look at old expireds, old withdrawn listings. Go back 3 years, 5 years, 10 years if you have to. Go back into a time frame that makes sense. There's a couple different advantages for you guys to do this in reference to a buyer, but how you do this for a seller, okay? So if you're looking back, say 10, let's go back 5 years ago, and I'll show you an example on that too. If you go back 5 years ago and you look at properties that didn't sell, and you pick a town, the properties didn't sell because of price. But let's make the assumption, which is a pretty fair assumption, to say that property values have increased as at least 2% per year in the past 5 years. That's a 10% increase. Any property was overpriced by 8 to 10%. Hey, for now, they could probably get their price. They could simply get their price. The thing is, most agents, I'm gonna say 95% of agents, are not gonna do the due diligence, take the time to research old listed properties or old expired properties, okay? So I'm gonna see if I can share my screen again without getting this wrong, Annie. So let's see if we can, okay. So I'm gonna go back into, okay. Oops, let's go to here. Annie, is my screen looking okay? Okay, all right. So here's basically what I pulled up. This is just Bridgewater alone. This is for the year 2015. This is just Bridgewater. I didn't pull up any other towns. Bridgewater, pretty big town, everything else, okay? In this whole list are withdrawals and expired listings, okay? All withdrawals and expires, there's 215 of them, I believe. 115. 115 properties that expired for the year 2015, 5 years ago, 5 years ago, okay? Now, when you look at these, you have to kind of go through the research. I'm just pick this one property here. Did my screen change any? No? Okay, so as an example, it's pretty simple. Let me just share screen, new share. Okay, okay. Love having a tech person on my side. I think I'm gonna take Annie home with me, okay? So, So if you take a look at this property as an example, this is one of those 115 properties, but it's real simple. Go into the listing archive, okay? And you can see basically, oh, that's not listing archive, what I'm talking. Basically, yeah, what is it? Not on this one. Okay, let's get out of this one. So close, let me get back to my screen again. Sorry, anyone get everybody over here, so.
If you share your entire desktop, you won't have to jump in and out.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Thanks, but there you go. So let's get out of here. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Okay. So basically, what's that? Share screen, Annie? Okay. Here? Okay. Good. Please share. Sorry about that, guys. Here. My bad. My bad. Okay, we good? All right. Sorry about that. So that's 113 properties. I narrowed it down to 28 properties that still did not list. Okay. 28 properties that did not list their property at all. Okay. And looking at that as an example, we start to pull up these properties. I'm just pull up Starview Way. That's in Bridgewater. Annie, is that changing at all? Okay, good. So good. And so with this property, if you take a look at the property archive on the left, again, this is through Garden State. CJLMS offers the same features and everything else. This property basically was expired. It was withdrawn or withdrawn twice. Okay, so that's an opportunity. So when you get to this property, oops, let me share my screen again. Okay. Okay, am I good, Annie? Okay, so sorry about that. Oops, Annie's taking control. Sorry about that, guys. Share screen. All right, so I'm going to keep talking as Annie gets this figured out for me. So, but that's it. All right. All right, so basically what I'm saying to you guys, there's 28 properties right here. That's about 24% of the total inventory for that month or for that year of 2015 in Bridgewater, okay? That many properties, there's 28 opportunities or 24 opportunities for you. For those 24 opportunities, now you have to really do the research. Is that property something that's worth you attacking to go after those properties, okay? How do you get the phone numbers? Well, hey, listen, you can knock on doors if you have to do that. There's 10 different resources to get phone numbers in reference to, you know, there's Spokio, there's Land Voice, there's Mojo, there's a whole bunch of opportunities for that way too. I will tell you with these people though, they're not thinking immediately of actually selling their property because you're going to hit them with, hey, listen, wow, somebody's thinking about selling my property. But the reason they did not sell the first time, simply put, is that they were in a position, they overpriced their home. But now they can get their home on the market, get it sold for their price if their motivation still stays in check. And your conversation, your script with them is relatively simple. I'd simply go into them and I'd say, you know what? Hi, Mr. Johnson. My name is Joe Kozo. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. Listen, I saw that you had your property in the market about 4 or 5 years ago, and I noticed that it did not sell. Right now, it's a hot real estate market, and we are looking for quality inventory. Let me ask you, have you ever considered getting your home back on the market and getting it sold? Now they're going to probably respond to you, no, or they're going to be hit by something. Wow, I wasn't expecting that right now. You know, and then go into their motivation. Well, let me ask you, why were you selling your home in the first place? Now, if that motivation is still there and you get them moving forward, that's awesome, okay? That might be a listing opportunity for you. But here's another twist to this. If you're working with some buyers, okay, and you're looking at this property, you're working with some buyers, okay, and you say to the buyer that basically, hey, listen, I'm going to do a little bit more creative things to find you homes because we're in a multiple bid situation. So creating value for the buyer, you say, here's what we're going to do is I'm going to look for off-market properties. Off-market properties are for sale by owners. Off-market properties are old expireds, okay? So so the advantage to that is in off-market properties, you're looking at something that might be available for them to see without putting themselves in a bidding war situation. And in a bidding war situation, you're going to be driving the price up higher. But if you can assure the fact that they're going to avoid a bidding war by doing something like this, so I'll give you my example for understanding purposes. So my wife and I just closed on a house about 10 days ago. Okay. And, you know, it was one of those things. I did not want to get into a bidding war situation. I did not want to pay 10, 15% more than asking price. Didn't want to do that. Simply didn't want to do it. So I told my wife, honey, I'm gonna look for off-market properties. We narrowed it down to 2 developments, okay? And both 55 and over. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Joe. I know you're not 55 and over. I know what you're saying that because I look like I'm 30, okay? But I will tell you this, I'm 61, okay? In case you're asking, you want to get in the chat room there too. But so what I simply did is I looked at 2 developments. One was a 55 and over. I had to be on a golf course, Cannot be in the center of the community, had to be on a golf course. I looked at 3 properties that were on the market as much as 2 to 2.5 years ago. I did my research, got phone numbers of 2 to 3. Couldn't find a third phone number. What I did is I knocked on that door. After I knocked on the door, he goes, no, you know, Mr. I appreciate it and everything, Mr. Goza, but you know, we're going to die in this house. I'm like, well, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. And the other 2 I called. The other one said, you know, we're not thinking about it just yet, but next year. They're snowbirds, okay? So from that standpoint, so I did is I said, I went to the 3rd property, of which, by the way, was the best of the 3 properties. See, I found inventory for myself, okay? Now, of that 3rd property, we made an offer, sight unseen, negotiated the offer, got the property for a price that's $60,000 lower than the highest comp, and we're the nicest home over there. $60,000 lower. It was appraised at substantially more than we bought it for. Wasn't in a bidding war situation, put a pretty good position. But if you as an agent thinks about looking for off-market properties, looking at old expireds and old withdrawals is a great opportunity for you guys to do that, because I see that as an opportunity that most agents don't look at. And mind you, I just picked 1 town in 1 year in Bridgewater. If you take 10 or 15 towns and you multiply that 28 by another 10 towns, you're talking 200 plus listing opportunities, if not more. Yes, it takes a little time, a little effort to research phone numbers, send out, you know, messages or text messages, or send out a postcard, whatever it might be. And that's all well and good, but quite frankly, isn't it worth it? So you could do that at 10 o'clock at night. You could, don't call them at 10 o'clock at night, of course, but you have that opportunity to do that at 10 o'clock at night. So that's one of the things I would encourage you guys to do as well. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Okay, so I can get out of here, Annie. Let's go to here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to go back to my original presentation here. Should be good on that. Okay, so we're talking old expireds and old withdrawals, and look at those as an opportunity. Okay, now here's a session I'm teaching in a couple of weeks. Okay, and this is a full-blown 45-minute to an hour session itself. We are doing prior to that a session on investors, how to find investors. There's a panel that's being done on investors. This is a great opportunity for you guys to how to work with investors. But there's a little caveat to that I'm going to talk about, which is absentee owners. And I know what you're saying, well, Joe, what's an absentee owner? Well, an absentee owner is someone that's truly not an investor. An investor is in it for one purpose only, and that's to make money, okay? Investors will look at that to make money and buy investment properties to make money. An absentee owner, in a nutshell, is someone that owns a property that more than likely lived in a property, and more than likely it's a townhouse or a condo. They were able to keep the property or not able to sell the property. They moved into their bigger home, and simply from that point, then they rented that current property. So I'm going to be talking about this in itself because there's a great opportunity for you guys. If you look at absentee owners, I'll take a development that's not far from here. It's a townhome development, about 500 townhouses, okay? And there's about a 20% absentee owner percentage ownership there in that development. That's a lot of absentee owners. And quite frankly, they don't like being landlords. They simply don't. So get on that session on October 23rd and talk about that as well, because that's a really, really good session in reference to that aspects of it too, okay? I will tell you this too, video, if you're not using video for listing opportunities, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. You know, everybody says, well, I do video, I do it off, you know, off my phone, everything else, that's great. But using video through a BombBomb service or whoever that you might use, this is a great opportunity for you to use it as a listing tool for yourself to market not just your listings, but to market yourself, market directly to sellers. You have those opportunities. So consider that aspects of it too. If you don't have a YouTube channel, get a YouTube channel. Right? Get a YouTube channel. It's not complicated. Establish yourself as a video professional. And I know most people say, you know what, I don't like seeing myself on a video. Hey, listen, do you think I do? So I have to look at this face every day, you know. So, but for the most part, use video as a listing opportunity for yourself that way too. So, but all right, I'm going to touch on something I was told that, Joe, you're a dinosaur. This is what I was told today. Joe, you're a dinosaur in this, okay? I'll tell you, from a listing standpoint, being creative, I used an 800 number, a toll-free number. Now I used it for advertising and printed ads in the good old days and everything else. But you know what? I find people are visual, but people also do drive around a neighborhood, and they will call a pre-recorded message and listen to a pre-recorded message on a property. The advantage to that, it's a call capture system. It's really call capture. And people drive neighborhoods as my wife and I did, back, 3, 4, 5 months ago. Drove through neighborhoods like that house, like that house. There really wasn't a whole lot available. What we did do is if I saw a recorded message on that, of course I have access, I might listen to a recording on that, okay? And listening to a recording tells me a little bit about the property, and it's something I want to have an interest to, I will. But being that it's pre-recorded, most people will not want to pick up a phone and talk to you. They'll go online, they'll go on their phone, they'll check out the listing as everybody does, but they might listen to a little recorded message for a minute and get a little bit more information about the property. In doing so, you capture a phone number. It's just a capture system, that's all it is. Capture a phone number. Don't call them a minute out of them making listen to recording, because that's kind of freaky, okay? But if you call them the next day, hi, Mr. Johnson. Very often too with these systems, you do have an opportunity to get a name. You will always get a phone number. But hi, Mr. Johnson. My name is Joe Koza with Keller Williams Realty. Listen, I know you're inquiring about a property on 123 ABC Street. Just calling to see if you have any interest on it. But if anything else, you get a name and a phone number that you can start to track a lead for yourself, to do that. Of course, you can do Facebook ads and everything else too and get leads that way too. But this is something that I used to do that I found to be incredibly important, incredibly valuable as well. So you'll find that there's a lot of good stuff in reference to that, okay? One thing I want to talk to you about too is, share my screen here too. Okay. Here's what we don't do enough. We simply do not do enough of this, okay? We don't ask for business. We simply don't ask for enough business, okay? And asking for business, the tendency is we just assume everybody knows we're in real estate. And that assumption is horrible. It's horrible when you find out that, your sister-in-law's cousin is basically just listed their home who you've known for quite some time. We don't simply ask for business. And I'll tell you, this is not creative. This is common sense. But I'll tell you what, sometimes common sense is anything but common. So start thinking about this. When do you ask for business? When do you ask for business? This is simple. It can't be any more simple, okay? So you just met with a buyer or a seller. Well, of course, you don't ask them in a way to, hey, do you know anybody else? Ask in a way, say, listen, if I'm meeting with a buyer through a buyer consultation, and I just finished showing them properties, or even in my buyer consultation, I say to them, hey, Mr. John and Mary, I know what's going to happen in the course of your day. You're going to go back to the office. You're going to talk to some friends and talk about the homes that we're going to see today and how exciting it is to start thinking about buying a home. And you're going to be in a position that somebody's going to run into you and say, hey, we're thinking about buying a home. So let me ask you, John and Mary, at any given time, would you be willing to give me their names and phone numbers so I can follow up and really start to generate business and help them out the way I'm helping you guys? And they're always going to say yes. They're always going to say yes, okay? So think about asking the buyer that way. Same thing with the seller. You leave a listing, a presentation, you get the listing. Oh, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know what's going to happen. You're going to talk to a few people about selling your property. You're going to run to someone else thinking about selling their home. I would love to help them out the way I'm helping you out. Are you okay with getting me a name and number? Now, don't ask them to give them my business card. You could do that, but quite frankly, when you give a business card, you'll never get a response. But ask them, train them, get a name and a number. If you get a name and a number in reference to that, then that's awesome, okay? So that'll give you that opportunity to get some business that way too. Everyone you run into, are you asking them? If you picked up your dry cleaner today, you're dry cleaning today, did you ask your dry cleaner, hey, let me ask you, is there anybody that you happen to know that's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Okay, and do it that way. Do it the bold way. Hey, do you happen to know anybody thinking about buying, ... selling, ... or investing in real estate? Keep it simple. Ask them that way, because it comes a little bit offensive not asking them directly too. So what about your family? Are you asking your family for business? Think about it. If you're not asking for business from your family, you're missing the boat in reference to that as well, okay? Because I'll tell you, I have family in Colorado, out in the Carolinas and Michigan, so I constantly, when I talk to my family members, they know exactly what to do. Oh, by the way, if you know anybody thinking about buying, selling, or investing, make sure, well, Joe, you're in New Jersey. They're trained to know that I can send out a referral. And I'll be honest with you, between my two brothers and my mom out in Colorado, I've probably sent out as many as 20 to 25 referrals over my 26 years of doing this to friends and family, extended family members of theirs too. So think about that. Are you asking business from your family? Hey, it's not creative, it's common sense, okay? So ask them this way, buying, selling, investing, okay? What about your vendors? Are you asking your vendors? Any vendors that because quite frankly, they're asking you for business all the time. Hey, I'm a home inspector. I'm thinking about, who do you know that you can send me a lead to, or an attorney? So start thinking that way. But are you asking your vendors for business? Because here's what happens is most people are not. Most people are not. So, I've got a question I'll get in a second. But so most people are not asking their vendors for business. Why not you? Hey, listen, like I said, how creative it is. It's just common sense. Just common sense, okay? Are you asking your neighbors in your own neighborhood? There's nothing worse than when I hear from an agent, dang, John Smith, 3 doors away from me, basically lists his home with XYZ Realty. What a shame that is. What a shame, because you're not asking your neighbors. And I remember one of our agents here, she was brand spanking new, and she was knocking on doors in her development, in a townhome development, a couple hundred townhomes. And she knocked on a door of an agent from another company, okay? And the agent, who I happen to know, said, hey, I'm a real estate agent. No, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. So she kept on knocking on doors, 3 doors away to his left. She knocked on a door, and guess what? Seller says, yeah, I'm thinking about selling. She took the listing. You know, how cool is that? He wasn't even doing his own neighborhood. So ask for business. Ask for business, okay? So ask your mom. If your mom's not willing to give you business, then that's a real problem. Ask your mom, ask your dad for business, okay? But I'm telling you guys right now, these are things that you can do to be more creative, to find listings for yourself. Again, if you go back to the earlier slides I talked about, if you're doing door knocking, it's working for you. If you're doing cold calling, it's working for you. Find out 1 or 2 things that make a difference for you, that's going to make it set you apart from your competition. Find out it's going to make a difference, that you're going to be able to pick up listings where other agents are not willing to take the time and effort to do so. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm going to guess 95, 98% of the real estate agents do virtually no lead generation. Virtually no lead generation at all. So if you're doing something and you're finding that something extra that's creative that other agents are not willing to do, that's going to put you in front of everyone else. We are short inventory. We're short inventory. But again, when an agent says to me, there's no inventory out there, Joe, I said, well, I think you're missing the point on this too. So, but I did have one question from Claire. How do we get phone numbers of our neighbors for circle prospecting? Okay. So there's a whole bunch of services you can use, okay? And you guys could probably touch on a whole bunch more, okay? Spokio is one of them. There's a paid service. You could use Anywho.com, which is Intellius also, which is a paid service. Anywho is free. Take it to the next level, Intellius. That's what I did, actually, to find the 2 of the 3 phone numbers in the house that I bought, okay? You can go to a paid service like LandVoice. Landvoice.com. They have other services for FSBOs and expires. You can go to Mojo. There's a handful of them out there for you. You can do Cole Realty Resource. That's a great service too. That's a little costly. Maybe split some costs in reference to that. Often you won't just get a phone number, you'll get an email address as well, and that's important too. Because if you get the phone numbers, you're not going to get 100% of them. You're simply not going to get 100% of them. You're going to get maybe 65% of them. I know in our market center, our telemarketer, when he does the research, he gets consistently about 65% of the numbers. Hey, listen, 65% of the numbers is better than and not getting any numbers at all too. So question 2 is, can we do door knocking? Well, I don't have a problem with door knocking. I really don't. Now, everybody has this COVID-19 level of concern. If you're knocking on doors, I'd be knocking on doors with a mask, or at least have a mask in my hand or something like that. Knocking on doors, I would do it on a Saturday when it's sunny. I wouldn't do this on an evening time. Don't go around trick-or-treating, that type of thing. But could you knock on doors? And also understand, what's the neighborhood like too? I mean, if the neighborhood is in your town is really in a different part of New Jersey, if you're more Bergen County, I might not do that. It's a little bit more concerning in Bergen County. If you look at Hunterdon County, Warren County, maybe not so much, okay? So understand your neighborhood, your development, if you're knocking on doors, but knock on doors with a purpose, okay? Have a purpose of you knocking on a door. Don't just knock on a door and say, hi, I'm a real estate agent, okay? Have a reason for it. Hey, listen, I'm just knocking on doors because we just put a home on the market down the street, and we're looking at the additional home inventory of homes in the neighborhood because we're shy of inventory. Here's my information, and leave them something. But if you can knock on doors, create some value for the homeowner. Don't just knock on a door and hand a business card. That's okay, but create some value for them. Okay, value for them is maybe set up a customized seller search program through the multiple listing system. Hey, it's just setting up a search program. It's nothing complicated. You pay for that anyway. So door knocking is acceptable. Just be careful of the area that you're doing it. And I will tell you, most agents won't knock on doors. We have a competitor with another company that's over outside the other side of Princeton. He'll knock on doors in mid-March, April, regardless of COVID-19. He'll knock on doors. He'll even knock on your door if he knows you're a real estate agent. Okay, so from that standpoint, that's fine. But just be careful about it. Important that you understand COVID-19 concerns. Again, that's something that you have to make that decision for too. So okay, so in reference to this, what I'm suggesting to you guys, going back to your little turkey, what are the 5 things that you're simply going to do? What are the 5 things you're doing? Okay. And again, if you're taking some of those things that you're doing right now, that's awesome. And I'm gonna tell you this too. If you're not in a position to track your lead generation activities by being the creative ones that you're doing, and are you getting results for that, you're missing that opportunity as well. You need to be in a position to track what the results are in your lead generation. And I would say this, don't do too many passive activities. If you're doing something that's creative, make it an action-packed, proactive activity, lead generation activity. Don't do something that's going to be in a position where it's, oh, let me just do mailings. Mailings, because mailings, I'm just going to do geographical farm. Nothing wrong with farming. It's a farm, plant the seed. It's going to take a while to develop, okay? Do something a little bit more proactive. Make the phone calls, pick up, talk to people, email them, text them, whatever it's going to be. Do things that are more proactive, because the tendency is we do the easy stuff from a lead generation standpoint. Do things that are more creative, get into things that are going to be important for you. That's going to put you in a position to understand exactly what you need to do to generate some business for yourself too. So good. I don't know if there's any other questions anybody else has. That's going to fill about 45 minutes of our time too. So I would encourage you, is there any comments or anybody that wants to put in a chat or Q&A in reference to things that they might do a little bit differently? I just want to open us up to anybody that they're doing something that's a little more unique to them. Okay. If nothing else, then so good. All right. Good. Well, listen, I would tell you this, guys. I appreciate your time. There's a lot of stuff going on in these sessions here right now. I would tell you this: you need to be lead generation based. If you're not spending at least 3 hours a day in lead generation, basing it around listings. If you're an agent that really wants to work the listing side of it, listings are king. Be that listing agent, you control your time much better as a listing agent as opposed to working on the buyer side. If you're a buyer's agent, different story. I get that. Be a listing agent, because the listing is going to be more controlled on your part. Not to mention in this multiple bid situation that we're in this market we're at right now, it's truly a better opportunity to be on that side of the fence than the buying side. We've had agents write up offer after offer after offer after offer, still not getting it, coming 10, 15, 20% over asking price. The listing side, they're just sitting back and just taking them and negotiating them and moving forward with it too. So I would do that too. So good. All right. Anything else on this? No? Okay, good. All right. Listen, guys, I thank you very much for your time. You got some great sessions coming up this week. Definitely get involved with this. There's a lot of good stuff coming on with this program for the month of October. I encourage you guys to attend each and every one of them. Definitely be on the last sessions with Linda McKissick. Be on a session with Jason Abrams. Definitely get listening to Stephen Gendel, our regional tech director. He's got some great stuff there too. So some really awesome stuff. Okay. Okay, guys. Listen, I appreciate it. Have the best day possible. And you guys stay in lead generation and keep prospecting. Thanks, guys.